Princess Estelle of Sweden may still be very young, but she already holds a place of real historical importance inside the Swedish royal family. For many royal watchers, she is not just one of the most charming young royals in Europe. She is also a symbol of where the Swedish monarchy is headed next. As the daughter of Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel, and as second in line to the Swedish throne, Estelle represents both continuity and change in one small but very significant royal figure. Born in Stockholm on February 23, 2012, Princess Estelle entered the world with the attention that naturally comes with being born so high in the royal line of succession. She is the first child of Crown Princess Victoria, who is herself the future Queen of Sweden, which means Estelle has been part of the monarchy's future from the very start. Her birth was widely celebrated across Sweden, and it carried more than just family joy. It also marked a moment of national importance because of what her position says about the modern Swedish crown. What makes Princess Estelle especially historic is the fact that she is the first female in Swedish royal history to be born with a fully protected right to inherit the throne regardless of whether a younger brother might ever be born later. That point matters a great deal. Sweden changed its rules of succession to absolute primogeniture, meaning the eldest child inherits the throne regardless of gender. Because of that reform, Estelle's future place in the monarchy is secure based on birth order, not on whether a male heir appears later. For royal history, that is a major shift, and it gives Estelle significance that goes beyond the usual interest surrounding a young princess. Her full name, Estelle Sylvia Ava Mary, also carries strong family meaning. Like many royal names, it reflects connections across generations. Her middle names honor important women in her family, linking her directly to her grandmothers and to the wider royal heritage that surrounds her. From the beginning, it was clear that the naming of Princess Estelle was intended to place her firmly inside the story of the Swedish monarchy, while also presenting her as a new chapter in that story. Her grandfather, King Carl XVI Gustav, formally announced her name and title shortly after her birth. She was given the title Duchess of Östergötland, a traditional royal duchy that immediately connected her to a historic region of Sweden. These titles are ceremonial, of course, but in royal life symbolism matters. From her first days, Estelle was being introduced not only as a beloved child of the royal household, but as a royal figure with a meaningful place in Sweden's institutional future. Her arrival was celebrated with all the royal ceremony people would expect, including a gun salute in Stockholm. That public response showed how closely the country was watching. The birth of a royal baby always generates attention, but in Estelle's case, there was also a wider awareness that this was a child who might one day become queen. That possibility alone gave her a level of significance that naturally set her apart from ordinary royal birth announcements. A few months later, Princess Estelle was baptized in the royal chapel at Stockholm Palace in a ceremony that reflected both tradition and strong family ties. Her godparents included a notable mix of relatives and prominent royal figures, which further reinforced how carefully her place within Scandinavian and European royal networks was being acknowledged. Royal baptisms often carry a great deal of symbolism, and Estelle's was no exception. It was another public moment that introduced her more formally to the country and to the broader royal world that surrounds the Swedish monarchy. As she has grown, one of the most noticeable things about Princess Estelle is the way her public image has been carefully managed. Her parents, Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel, have clearly tried to strike a balance between royal visibility and a grounded childhood. That balance is not easy for any royal family, especially when a child is so high in the line of succession. But in Estelle's case, the approach has generally been measured. She has appeared often enough for the public to feel connected to her, but not so constantly that she seems pushed too early into the spotlight. Her early years have reflected that careful balance. She began preschool in Stockholm and later moved on to formal schooling at Campus Manila, a respected school located on Djurgården in Stockholm. This part of her upbringing matters because it shows how the royal household is handling the education of a future queen-in-waiting. The goal appears to be giving her a strong and normal educational foundation while still quietly preparing her for a much larger public role later on. In modern monarchy, that kind of approach is increasingly important. Royal heirs are expected not only to embody tradition, but also to appear well-prepared, relatable, and capable of understanding society they will one day represent. Princess Estelle's upbringing has also unfolded in a home environment that seems designed to support that mix of duty and normalcy. She lives with her family at Haga Palace in Solna, a historic royal residence near Stockholm. The setting is undeniably royal, but the public image around the household often emphasizes warmth, family life, and stability rather than extravagance. That presentation fits well with the broader tone of the Swedish monarchy, which has long tried to appear modern, responsible, and relatively grounded compared with some other royal households. Even at a very young age, Estelle began appearing in public in ways that suggested a gentle introduction to royal duty. One of the earliest examples came when she took part in the inauguration of a fairy tale path connected to her Duchy of Östergötland. On the surface, that may sound like a small and charming event, but in royal terms it was important. It showed that the palace was beginning to shape her public identity early, linking her to her title, to local tradition, and to the idea of public engagement. These early appearances are often symbolic training grounds for larger responsibilities later. As the years have passed, she has increasingly accompanied her parents to official events, national celebrations, and public occasions. Each appearance, even if brief, contributes to the gradual shaping of a future royal role. She is not yet carrying out full duties in the way adult working royals do, but that is not the point at this stage. What matters is familiarity. The Swedish public is watching a future queen grow up in real time, and the monarchy clearly understands that trust and comfort are built gradually, not suddenly. That is one reason Estelle attracts so much affection. She is often described as confident, cheerful, and natural during public outings. There is something especially effective about the way she appears alongside Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel. The family dynamic often looks warm and genuine, and that helps strengthen public feeling around Estelle herself. In royal life, personality matters more than institutions sometimes like to admit. A future monarch is not only a constitutional figure, they are also a public presence, and first impressions formed in childhood can last for years. The role she is expected to play one day makes all of this even more significant. As second in line to the throne, Princess Estelle is widely understood to be a future Queen of Sweden, assuming the line of succession continues as expected. That reality shapes everything about her life, even when public coverage focuses on more charming or personal details. Behind every school milestone, every family appearance, and every carefully staged moment is a quiet understanding that she's being prepared for one of the most important positions in the country. What makes that preparation especially interesting is how modern it seems. Estelle is growing up in a monarchy that has had to adapt to changing public expectations. Today's royal heirs are expected to be educated, emotionally intelligent, and socially aware. They are not meant to appear distant or purely ceremonial. In Sweden, perhaps more than in some other monarchies, there is a strong emphasis on restraint, civic responsibility, and public trust. Estelle's upbringing appears to reflect all of that. She is being introduced not as an unreachable royal figure, but as a future representative of a modern constitutional monarchy. At the same time, tradition is still everywhere in her life. Her title, her place in the succession, her connection to regional identity through her duchy, her baptism, and the public rituals surrounding her family all tie her firmly to royal history. That combination of old and new is exactly what makes Princess Estelle so fascinating to royal audiences. She is both a child of a very old institution and a representative of how that institution is trying to evolve. There is also a broader symbolic importance to her role as a young female heir in the modern era. Although Sweden had already changed its succession rules before her birth, Estelle has become one of the clearest living examples of what that reform looks like in practice. She stands as a visible sign of a monarchy shaped by gender equality in a way that older royal systems were not. That alone gives her a cultural significance that goes beyond palace life. She is not just important because she may one day wear a crown. She is important because of what her position says about the values modern Sweden wants its monarchy to reflect. This is part why she continues to draw so much admiration. People see in Princess Estelle not just sweetness and charm, but a quiet sense of the future. Her appearances may still be small in scale, but they are watched closely because they offer glimpses of what kind of royal figure she may become. Every confident smile, every composed public moment, Every sign that she is comfortable in these formal settings adds to the public impression that she is being raised with a real awareness of what lies ahead. Of course, much can change over time, and children should be allowed room to grow without being over-defined too early. But even with that understood, it is already clear that Estelle occupies a very special place in the Swedish monarchy. She is being raised in a household that knows exactly what is expected of her one day, yet seems determined to let her experience childhood with as much balance as possible. That may be one of the smartest decisions a royal family can make. A monarch prepared only by ceremony can appear distant. A monarch prepared through both duty and ordinary life may appear far more human and trusted. For now, Princess Estelle remains a young royal with a carefully developing public role, but the significance of her place is impossible to miss. She is second in line to the throne. She is the daughter of the future queen. She is the first girl in Swedish royal history born with an unquestioned succession, right protected by modern law. And she is growing up at a time when monarchy must constantly prove its relevance to a changing society. That is why interest in her remains so strong. She represents more than family continuity. She represents the future shape of the Swedish crown. Her life is already being defined by preparation, symbolism, and expectation, even though it is still wrapped in the visible innocence of childhood. For royal family watchers, that makes her one of the most closely followed young royals in Europe. In many ways, Princess Estelle stands as a perfect example of how monarchy survives in the modern world. She is tied to history, but she also reflects change. She carries titles rooted in centuries of tradition, yet her position also reflects reforms built around equality and modern values. She lived within a royal structure, but she is being presented to the public with warmth, relatability, and careful normalcy. That combination is powerful. It explains why so many people see her as such an important figure, even at this early stage of her life. As she continues to grow, so will the public's interest in who she becomes. For now, Princess Estelle remains a beloved child at the heart of Sweden's royal future. But with every year, every public appearance, and every milestone, the outline of that future becomes a little clearer. And for the Swedish monarchy, that future clearly has her at its center.